Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Your headlines in the Thames Valley. Is 20 plenty on residential roads? The government says it'll stop local authorities introducing the lower limits, but campaigners say it saves lives.
If you have any sort of mobility needs, or if you've got small children, trying to cross this road is really, really dangerous. People die on these roads all the time.
Rising costs could mean the end of free lessons at Henley Music School. It says hundreds of children benefit but will lose out without extra funding.
Also this Monday evening, Swindon Town's future is secure. The CEO tells us how the club was on the brink with debts of £3 million.
And how to be a dedicated follower of sustainable fashion. Why re-wearing, sharing and repairing is the in thing. Good evening. Road safety campaigners say local councils should be able to decide where 20 mph limits should go because they save lives. The government today announced plans at the start of the Conservative Party conference to block local authorities from introducing them without good reason.
More than 180 people have been killed on Hampshire's roads in 5 years. Last year, the County Council launched a survey asking people if they supported the 20 limit where they live. Well, the leader of Basingstoke Council agrees that it should be a local decision and not one for the government. With more, here's Mike Pearce.
For many who put up with speeding traffic, more 20 mph limits can't come soon enough. Twyford near Winchester is one of many areas locals say the measure is urgently needed.
People die on these roads all the time. People have serious injuries on these roads all this time. And if we're just talking about in Hampshire, in the last 5 years we've had nearly 15,000 casualties on Hampshire's roads, and that's too many. And 187 deaths on Hampshire's roads. And actually that's something we could really do something about by just reducing the speed limits a little bit.
But now the government say there'll be tighter controls to ensure they're only allowed in the right places and backed by local people. The move comes amid speculation the policy will be popular with voters. Well, Hampshire County Council conducted a recent survey into people's attitudes regarding the 20 mph zones. They found they were very mixed. For example, here at Brighton Hill in Basingstoke, people were less in favour. Now that compares to just a mile or two away, where communities said they much more supported the 20 mph limits.
I think it's a good idea.
You'd like to see more?
Yes, I'd like to see more.
I don't think it's going to make any difference to the environment. In fact, I think my opinion's in ex-motor trade that cars pollute more at low speeds because they're in a lower gear.
It's too low, really, yes. Far too low. And like you say, people are they're not going to stick to it. No. So they just need to bring it up a little bit. 30 is more acceptable, I think.
The leader of Basingstoke and Dean Borough Council says it's an issue that shouldn't be used for party politics.
It's about working with communities to what works best for them. This isn't some blanket policy or some ideological stance where you say yes or no and think that's the right answer. No, you've got to listen. And that's the silliness of all of this. It's become so political and so silly that we've forgotten about what it is actually we're talking about, which is pedestrian safety and children being safe outside schools or walking across a road to get to the shops and you want to be safe.
Local authorities say they're waiting to see the plans in more detail so they can understand exactly how the new system will work. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Basingstoke.
Well, over to our political correspondent Phil Hornby, who's in Manchester at the Conservative Party conference. Phil, how has this announcement gone down there?
Well, you get the feeling that ministers have been told to come up with eye-catching initiatives that don't actually cost the taxpayer any money because the government haven't got any money. And the Tories want to portray themselves as the motorist friend. So today we got an announcement about a super app, one app that will allow you to use any car park, so you're not constantly downloading different apps. And this controversial 20 mph announcement.
We will change the Department for Transport's guidance requiring councils to only use 20 mph zones where there's a good reason, and underlining that 30 mph is the default speed limit on urban roads. And our plan includes a new national parking platform, ending the need to install numerous apps just to park your car.
An announcement enthusiastically received by Tory MPs from our region.
I think the idea of having blanket 20-mile-an-hour speed limits everywhere is a complete joke. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it in Wales. The backlash to that has been pretty apparent for all of us to see. We want to be able to go about our business, to drive our cars, to get to work, to lead our lives. And this idea of control and imposition upon working families is complete nonsense.
So Phil, what else has happened there today?
Well, centre stage has been the South West Surrey MP Jeremy Hunt making the Chancellor's speech, but behind the scenes all the talk is about HS2. We're getting ready for the government to announce they're going to cancel the northern bit of HS2. That could come in the Prime Minister's big speech here on Wednesday. A penny for the thoughts of those people in Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire whose lives have been so disrupted by this project and who were told the Northern Link was so essential.
Phil, thank you.
In other news, doctors say the emergency department at the Royal Berkshire Hospital has been very busy on day one of a 3-day coordinated walkout by consultants and junior doctors. Well, this was A&E at the RBH today, as the NHS said it was only able to provide Christmas Day levels of cover. Elsewhere, routine appointments and procedures have been cancelled. Leading doctors say the ongoing disruption is taking its toll.
I think morale is fragile. I think, unfortunately, I work in an excellent department. We've got an amazing team here and we're sticking together to get through each and every shift. But the constant sort of additional pressures, the additional stress in what is already a pretty stressful job does take its toll, and you can see those sort of cracks appearing. I think as a department, not just doctors, but doctors, nurses, physios, PAs, the whole team is feeling the ongoing pressure of it.
Now, there should be no barrier to music. That's the ethos of Henley Music School. Until now, the charity has funded bursaries to allow some children access to free music lessons. But rising costs mean the school has run out of money.
Well, some teachers have been giving their time for free, but the school says without more funding, the children won't be able to continue learning. Here's Juliet Fletcher.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Charlie's favourite part of the week is his music lessons at Badgemore Primary School. He suffers from anxiety and finds some social situations difficult, but playing the piano with his teacher Alison has improved his confidence and well-being.
It's really nice. It just comforts me. There's no real reason why it comforts you, but I find music one of my favourite things to do. It calms me.
Because he has to focus and it draws his focus in, the rest of the world that can be a little bit noisy can quieten down, and it allows him to focus and he can express himself through the music. So in that moment of his lesson with his one-to-one, he just gets to be him.
Henley Music School provides tuition in several schools in the area for children regardless of age, ability or means. So families that can afford to pay do, and until now bursaries have been available for others. But now they've run out of money, and some teachers like Alison have been plugging the gap and teaching for free.
So I made the decision because I couldn't see myself walking into a classroom and only taking the children that could pay for lessons and saying to the other ones, sorry, you can't have a piano lesson this week. So I made the decision to carry on teaching them all. I would have carried on doing that because I just don't think it's fair to the children to miss out. But obviously it's not really sustainable for me long term to teach for nothing.
Laura Reiniker set up Henley Music School 17 years ago. It provides individual and class lessons and costs £60,000 a year to run. It supports around 900 children, but COVID and the cost of living crisis mean it's now struggling.
So this term, as of September, we've had to stop all bursaries. So I've had to speak to parents, I've had to send emails that I don't want to send, and it's devastating for these kids. Some of these kids, it's what they love about school.
It's very important to me. I think it's the same as some other kids, that they really need to know music and it helps them, encourage them, but they just sometimes don't have enough money to learn.
The music school has plans to move into its own premises and operate as a community asset. But for now, it just wants more funding to make sure children like Charlie can continue with his lessons. Juliet Fletcher, ITV News, Henley.
everyone watching ITV News Meridian here in the Thames Valley. Still to come.
The followers of fashion, the message to reuse, repair and share to cut down on waste.
And it looks as though September was one of the warmest on record and certainly rather wetter. But what does October have in store? Join me later in the programme to find out.
October already, and for more, remember you can find news on our website itv.com/Meridian. You can call us and you can follow us on social media.
Now, there are calls for every teacher to be trained to spot the signs of dyslexia. Figures show that 85% of people found the process of getting diagnosed difficult or simply not possible.
The charity Made by Dyslexia says children are being failed by the education system by not having access to the support they need, and more should be done to train all teachers. Here's Katie Ridley.
It's a normal day of teaching at Cheswood Junior School in Worthing. Pupils here are taking part in a lesson, but some students at this school may need a little bit of extra help if they are dyslexic.
The first and foremost thing that I believe is really important is their self-esteem, their self-confidence and their self-worth. They are fragile within a child, and schools must come around the child and make sure that they give the biggest boost they can when a child is facing a challenge. And in that way they can access confidently the rest of the curriculum, and then they are prepared as best they can be, and we've reduced the risks for the next stage of education.
Dyslexia is a learning difficulty that mainly causes problems with reading, writing and spelling, and affects over 6 million people in the UK. According to the charity Made by Dyslexia, 80% of people with the learning difficulty leave school without a diagnosis. And I'm one of those people. I didn't know I had dyslexia until I went to university. Matilda, who's 16, was diagnosed with dyslexia when she was 9 years old.
The impact that the diagnosis had on me was amazing, because it was almost like clarity. It was like, I can't read and write like everyone else, but that's okay. I can find ways around it, like using laptops and things like that. And it just felt like I understand now, like I'm not stupid. It's just the way my brain works, and that's okay.
But getting to this stage wasn't easy. And after years of trying, Matilda's mother Lisa had to pay hundreds of pounds to get her diagnosed privately.
All the way through primary school, I was always asking for support, which we didn't really get. And then when she got to high school, we did ask quite a lot what help she could get. When she was coming up for her GCSEs, she got an assessment done, and she was then given 25% extra time in her GCSEs and the option to use a laptop, which was very helpful.
Since her diagnosis, Matilda has been able to access the help she needs. But she supports the idea of all teachers being given specialist training on how to spot the signs of dyslexia.
The support I would have benefited from was my teachers knowing what dyslexia was and knowing how they could support me, because in primary school especially, none of my teachers knew what it was, so they just couldn't help me.
Matilda is now studying for her A-levels after gaining 8s in her GCSEs, the equivalent to A's in the old system. She says with the right support, dyslexia can be a strength and not a weakness. Katie Ridley, ITV News.
Well, for more on this, let's talk to Kate Griggs, who's the founder of the charity Made by Dyslexia. I mean, Kate, first of all, can you talk us through the process of getting diagnosed, which can be a slow process and for some people an expensive one as well?
Yeah, I think to get a formal identification of dyslexia is expensive and it is time consuming. To be honest with you, it shouldn't be necessary for all children with dyslexia to do that. It should be something that we can be identifying dyslexia with screening, easy online screening at school, and then having teachers who know how to support children in the classroom to be able to give those children the classroom accessibility and things that they need without having this formal diagnosis.
So you'd like all teachers to have specific training to recognise dyslexia. In practical terms, what would that training look like?
Well, if you think that 1 in 5 children are dyslexic, that's 20% of the classroom. Every teacher is teaching dyslexic children. And we also know that those children have exactly the thinking skills that are needed for the future, the soft skills that every workplace is looking for. So it is vital that all teachers know how to spot and support these kids. And the free training we have at Made by Dyslexia takes just a day to complete. It's online, it's on demand, it's video based, and it enables teachers to create an inclusive classroom where dyslexic children can thrive, and it's definitely the first step that every school should be supporting and doing for their dyslexic children.
I guess one of the key questions people will ask is about the cost and about the pressure on schools who are already under tremendous pressure anyway.
Absolutely, I totally appreciate they're under pressure. Our training is free. I also don't believe there's one teacher in the world who doesn't want to do the best for their kids. So if they know that, you know, a day will help them to really support their dyslexic learners, and also what's good for dyslexic children is good for all children. So it's very much how you create an inclusive classroom so all children can succeed.
OK, Kate Griggs from Made by Dyslexia, the charity, thank you very much for talking to us on the programme.
Thank you.
Well, ITV News did ask the Education Secretary Gillian Keegan for an interview about the government's action plan on dyslexia, but she wasn't available. In a statement, the Department for Education told us our recent SEND and Alternative Provision Improvement Plan will reform the support system for children, prioritising earlier intervention and creating consistent high standards across the country. We are, they continued, also putting significant investments into the high needs budget to support local authorities, including a further £440 million for 2024-25, bringing total funding to £10.5 billion, an increase of over 60% since 2019-20.
Let's get some sports news now, and our Sarah is here. Sarah, some good news tonight.
Yes, we'll start with the good news, Sangeeta. Thank you. And that means we kick off with League One, where Portsmouth are at the top of the table and Oxford United are not far behind. Just a point separates the two after both celebrated victory on Saturday.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Portsmouth strengthened their position at the top with a hard-fought victory at Wigan. Regan Poole and Paddy Lane sent Pompey ahead against a struggling Wigan side that went down to 10 men. Pompey can extend their lead with victory over in-form Wycombe tomorrow night. Oxford United, though, are hot on their heels with a game in hand after Greg Lee celebrated his birthday with a brace, earning United a fourth successive away league win at Stevenage. Captain Elliot Moore nodded home their third. Reading fans paused their match against Burton Albion for 10 minutes after throwing 400 tennis balls onto the pitch. They made the protest on 16 minutes, signifying the 16 points deducted by the EFL under the ownership of Dai Yong. Supporters also wore black for the match, which ended goalless. Crawley Town's near-perfect start to this League Two campaign continued with victory over Sutton United. Adam Campbell, Lawrence Maguire and Danilo Orsi scored as the Reds secured a fourth straight league win to climb up to second in the table. And Swindon Town are only a point off Crawley in third, thanks to Dan Kemp and Jake Kane. Victory equals a club record as they start the season with 9 league games unbeaten. Right, on to the Premier League now, and it was a weekend that Brighton and Bournemouth fans will want to forget. But in the Championship, Southampton turned on the style at St Mary's. Here's Andrew Pate.
Southampton bounced back after 4 consecutive defeats in a display manager Russell Martin described as brave and incredible. Leeds dropped down from the Premier League alongside Saints this summer, but Will Smallbone's smart finish and 2 cool, calm and clinical goals from the Championship's top scorer Adam Armstrong gave Southampton a huge boost ahead of tomorrow's trip to Stoke.
Now, Swindon Town's new chief executive has revealed the club was dangerously close to administration before their owner sold shares to repay a debt of nearly £3 million. Anthony Hall also assured fans that Town's future is now secure. Ross Arnott has more.
We want to be an open and transparent club, and we want to make sure that we're all working together to get Swindon back to where it should be.
That was Clem Morfini speaking to us on the day he took over Swindon Town and vowed to look after it for supporters. Fast forward 2 years and he now faces criticism from those same fans over a deal that saw him sell shares. He's provided an apology, saying it was essential to securing the future of the team that was just days away from administration and potentially non-existence. Now the club's new CEO hopes to provide clarity on that deal and reassure the fan base.
The future of the football club is very secure and it's in the right hands, and we will take this football club forward. And I think with fans should be 100% behind the team. And Clem's a very, very honourable man. He hasn't taken a penny out of the football club, nor will he in the future. And Clem's about developing and taking Swindon Town Football Club forward, and the fans should be very assured by that fact.
We've spoken about the supporters already, but they will have concerns, seeing the statement Clem made a couple of weeks ago and the fact he had to release some of his shares in this football club as well. What do you want to say to them at the moment?
Look, he's never taken a penny out of the football club. That remains the case. He had 3 days to settle a £2.95 million debenture. Eventually, Chris Kiley offered to do that, and that's what Clem done. But again, it was done with the best intentions of the football club.
Is there an agreement in place for him to purchase those shares back and to become the full owner again?
Yes, there is, and Clem's actively working behind that.
At this point, how much money has he invested in Swindon Town?
The debt he inherited is £7.4 million. Clem personally has put about £6 million into that at the moment.
Was he aware of all that debt at the time when he took over the club?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't aware of that. At the time he was told there was a debenture which was said of around about 800k, and also I think the club was said it was in debt of around about a similar number. And you can see the way the debt's come right the way down at the moment. I think it sits around about £624,000 which is left to go.
Just how close was this football club to potentially fading into non-existence?
If they wasn't settled, it would have been placed into administration. That's how close it was. The debentures are settled. We'd like to draw a line in the sand, move forward and concentrate on what the team is doing on the pitch. We have to be one and go forward as one.
Ross Arnott reporting there, and so far so good. Swindon are currently just 1 point off the top of League Two.
Hope it stays that way.
We hope so.
Thank you. Now, re-wearing, repairing and sharing is the message that's coming from Brighton.
Yes, the first ever Sustainable Fashion Week has been taking place, and organisers say they want to revolutionise the way we engage in fashion. Here's Andy Dickinson.
They say some fashions are timeless. This catwalk at the Brighton Dome, joined by a sustainable marketplace, clothes swap and repair workshop, suggesting that with a few tweaks, all our clothes can stay in style.
Every year in the UK, 300,000 tonnes of clothing goes to landfill. Some of that clothing has never even been worn. I think sustainability has to be at the heart of fashion. We've got one planet, that's it. There's a finite amount of resources, and at the moment we're trashing it. And I don't think if you ask any individual person if they wanted to trash the planet that they would say yes.
We've got the fashion industry telling us that whatever we were wearing last week is no longer good, and that we need to constantly be renewing our wardrobe. One of the things that I always say is that the most sustainable outfit you can wear is the one that's in your closet already. So by re-wearing, sharing, caring and repairing your clothes, we are able to keep the clothes that we already have in circulation and have less textile waste in the world.
With so much in vogue in stores and online, seen as disposable, this re-wear revolution aims squarely at bucking that trend. Andy Dickinson, ITV News, Brighton.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
I think older clothes are better quality. You get better fabrics, I think stitching's better. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
So what was it? Caring, sharing?
Sharing, re-wearing.
repairing.
Yeah, we can't share and repairing.
No, we won't share.
We can't share.
No. But we can rewear, and we often do. Right, let's get a check on the weather forecast with the details for us tonight. Here's James Wright.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Vaillant Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello there, good evening. A bit of a grey day today, still rather warm and muggy, but nowhere near as warm as it's been across Spain. High 30s in places, and October records have been broken. Why am I mentioning this? Well, this high pressure here that gives us some fairly settled weather over the next few days, as it moves, starts to draw out some very warm air up across our neck of the woods. So we're looking at a much warmer weekend. As far as this evening goes, well, warm and muggy. We've got lots of cloud around, a little bit murky in places. The tail end of this system eventually pushing away, and temperatures where it's going to be a bit of a warm, muggy one once again, 11 to 14 Celsius. A bit of a noticeable breeze by the end of the night, and that sets us up for a breezy day on Tuesday. We'll start to see more in the way of sunshine developing, but with it a few showers. Pretty hit and miss, these showers, so most of us staying nice and dry. The breeze is also introducing less humid air, so a much fresher feel to Tuesday too, with highs of 17 to 19 Celsius. Similar picture on Wednesday, indeed similar picture on Thursday too, before things get warmer towards next weekend.
Vaillant Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV Meridian Weather.
And that is it from us for now. The ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale is coming up shortly. I'm back just after 10:30.
From the team here, thank you for your company. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.